you've been to the channel before, you may have seen a glimpse of this custom. It's basically been the mascot to our channel since we started the channel. It's another custom of my favorite Ultraverse character, Prime, but this time in his final form. In the comics, he actually had 4 forms in the comics. He had his Premier form, and there was some modified versions of Premier form for traveling in space. After that, there was Rogue Prime. Then there was Final Prime, which this custom is based on. The final form for Prime is probably one of the most known. This is the way it looked in the Ultraverse cartoon. Like with my previous Prime custom, the base body is Caliban. To me, the Caliban body, the Build-A-Figure Caliban, is the perfect base body if you're going to make a Prime. It's just got the right bulk to the build of the figure, thick chest, wide torso, big bulked out arms, big stocky legs. To me, this is perfect for making a Prime custom. Calibans are actually still pretty cheap. If you get them online, it's actually cheaper to just go ahead and just buy a complete figure than try to piece them together, because some of the parts are a little harder to get than just buying the whole figure. It's kind of weird how it works out that way sometimes. When I made my first Prime figure, I actually learned a lot making this. I took everything I learned from making the first Prime to make this one, like with the sculpting the gauntlets, the boots. I actually even learned some new things to make this one the way I want it. I mentioned on the previous video, like with the other Prime, about learning how to cast to make a smiling head. I actually did it for making this one, and I actually made a casting of this head so I can give this Prime a smiling head too. I took the Bam Presto All Might figure, and this is a Hyperion head that was enlarged by Glassman Customs. I commissioned that several years back. I made a casting of this and a casting of this, and I spliced them together to make this head. So, and I ended up casting this head so I can actually give both my Primes a smiling head. With the alternate head is it is the Hyperion head, just enlarged, which I think is really good for neutral face for Prime. And with these heads, I actually put O-rings inside the heads. It makes them easier to pop on and off, and they're very secure. But I felt the Hyperion head was a perfect fit for Prime. But I want to have the smiling face. As you can see on the back, Prime is usually depicted like a big grin on his face. So that's why I want to make the smiling head for Prime. Another skill I learned when making this Prime is using water slides. I made these in Photoshop. I want these to be super clear and better than what I can do by hand. So I made these in Photoshop and printed them on clear transfer paper, like the water slide paper. So I wanted to do the arm hair and the tattoo, Justice Skills tattoo. The arm hair actually continues. This is all done with a clear water slide paper. And it gives you the hairy arms, like a throwback to the Rogue Prime. That's what with this Prime is actually basically a combination of Rogue Prime and the Premier Prime. So I want to make sure to have the arm hair that's part of the signature look for this version of Prime. Like with the previous gauntlets, these are modified Caliban wristbands. They are the same wristbands. That's just been extremely modified with styrene, epoxy, reshaped. By using the Caliban wristbands, they are still removable, and they can be moved for different positions for different poses. The hands are the exact same style that I used with the previous Prime figure. These are from the Marvel Legends 12-inch scale Deadpool. To make these work with the Caliban forearms, I did have to thicken the pegs up. I sanded the pegs, got them a little rough. Used super glue, baking soda, and Instaset to make a thicker peg. And they pop right in. I got a closed fist on 2 closed fists and 1 thumbs up hand. And they just peg right in like a standard Marvel Legends hand. With the cape, it's actually attached with magnets. I have 2 magnets glued inside the cape. And I have magnets embedded into the upper torso. The cape is actually a meant for a Shao Kahn. There's a seller on eBay. I'll put a link down in the description below. He sells these for the Storm Collectibles Shao Kahn figure. It comes all red. I actually painted the blue stripe down the cape and applied a Prime logo to the cape. I painted the gold area on the cape and applied a clear back to water slide decal to the cape. The magnets hold the cape on very securely. You can hear it click, and it's not going to come off. It holds poses very well. For the skin tones, it's actually a custom mix I make using testers, Model Master acrylics, which for too long I'm actually going to have to find some new skin tone paints, because since testers shut down the Model Master acrylic line, with the skin I actually did the base coat, did like a warm base coat, then I went over with my custom mix. I took the warm base coat, watered it down to make a wash. That way I can actually do a wash to like the recessed areas of the body, where you can really pick out the details of the figure. It gives us a lot more depth when you do like a washes like that. Then I took the light skin tone, then I with a fine paintbrush, and I picked out all the veins. So between the warm tone washes and the lights, it really makes all the skin texture pop. The chest armor and the PE logo is all sculpted with an A's epoxy sculpt. With sculpting like this kind of detail, I actually use styrene strips and glue down around the perimeter. That way I can sculpt up to and have a stopping point. I do that for all the armor, down to around the waist, down the ab section, the wraparound. And you can see on the back, you can see the armor goes around, wraps around. And once I lay down the styrene strips, I put the epoxy in and just work it and smooth it out. Same way with the P, it's mostly hand sculpted, but I do lay down like strips of styrene I did it by eyeball, just lay them down, get the shape, the triangle shape I want, and same with the P, and sculpt to those edges. It turned out really good. I used the metallic blue and a metallic red. On the paint on the armor, it's what they call a tester spray. It's a ingot gold, which has got a nice, like a bronzy gold look. I really like how this turned out. And when you put your sealer coats on it, it actually changes a little bit. It darkens it up just a little bit. It's a different gold than what I used on the previous Prime. I used a Citadel gold on this one, and this one is a spray testers. I really like the color on this ingot gold. After painting the gold, I make a mask and use a transparent red over top the P. And the same way with the blue, it's masked it off and sprayed it with my airbrush metallic blue. And with the Final Form Prime, instead of having a solid color like on the solid color red on the Premier Prime, he actually has two-tone. He has blue, the inner legs of his pants are blue. Same with his lower waist section. The outside red. And the armor on this one, on the lower boots, are much more pronounced. It's one of the styles they did when they went to the Final Form Prime. His gauntlets and boots went way big, like over-exaggerated, which looks really cool like on the character. These boots were made with using styrene strips. I have a tutorial on like making flared boots. And it's actually making a set of boots for another Prime I'm making. And I'll put a link to it. There's a 3-step process I did with making those boots. I'll put a link up here at the top. Lay down strips of styrene. I put a band around, strips down, smooth it out. Then I put the epoxy over top and sculpted it smooth. And I ground down the ankles to work with these shoes. These shoes are from a Marble Slate Colossus. With the Caliban legs, they are thick, chunky lower legs. And if you just put the lower feet on these big, thick legs, you get to like a cankle look, which doesn't look very good. The only disadvantage about doing the sculpted boots down here, I had to lose the boot swivel down here. The boot swivel is so low and weird angled, there was no way for me to salvage the boot cut on this style of design. With using the Caliban body, the articulation's almost all there. Like the only thing I lost was the boot swivels. He has a ball peg with a disc hinge. Looks up and down, left and right. Disc hinge shoulders. bicep swivel. To keep from paint rub, I actually did grind out the biceps so they don't rub against the shoulders that much. Single hinge elbows. They are very tight on this figure. That's the same way with the standard Caliban figure. Hinge and swivel wrist. The thumb hand actually has a vertical hinge so you can point up and down. Ball joint hips. Kick out to here. Better than most Spider-Man figures. Thigh rotation. He has double joint knees. He has hinged ankles and ankle pivots. With his speed on the Caliban body, he's a pretty good size figure, so let's do some size comparisons. Here he is with an 80th anniversary Hulk and a Bucky cap. Here he is with Marvel Select Colossus and the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Caliban. Here he is with a G.I. Joe Classified Series Cobra Trooper and an SH Figure Arts Goku. Here he is with Master Universe Classics Roboto and He-Man. This is by far one of my favorite customs I've ever made. And if you probably noticed in the channel, this is basically our channel mascot. I just love how this thing turned out. It's big, bulky. It just, to me, I found the perfect recipe for making Prime figures. You couldn't ask for a better base to make a Prime. With the combination of the enlarged Hyperion head, the Deadpool fists, the big bulky Caliban body. I just absolutely love how this turned out. It's a shame we can't get Ultraverse characters in Marvel Legends. These characters transition so well from ink to plastic. They're just such great looking character designs. I've been working on other Ultraverse characters. I have a Adam Bob I just recently finished up. I'll be making more of the Strangers and other Ultraverse characters. But this is just my favorite piece I've ever made. I'll have more custom figures, reviews, more comic book unboxings on the channel. My friend Brad, he does the weekly comic book unboxings, and I do custom figures and toy reviews. So if you like what we've been doing, please like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time.